Imagine looking at someone for the first time, and within seconds knowing what they're really thinking, feeling, and likely to do next. Their words say one thing, but their body, tone, microexpressions, and energy tell the complete truth. Most people never learn to see it. They stay confused, manipulated, or blindsided. But the people who read others like a book, they move through life with quiet power in negotiations, relationships, leadership, sales, dating, even casual conversations. This isn't magic or guesswork. It's human psychology, observable, repeatable patterns in behavior, nonverbal cues, emotional tells, and cognitive biases that reveal what's really going on inside someone's head. In this full audiobook, you'll learn the hidden signals 95% of people miss and how to decode them instantly. How to read baseline behavior so you spot lies, discomfort, attraction, or dominance, the exact microexpressions, voice shifts, and body language clusters that betray true emotions, how to use psychological principles to influence, without manipulation, the ethical framework that turns reading people into a superpower instead of a weapon. If you're tired of being surprised, played, or misunderstood, and you're ready to see people clearly, protect yourself, connect deeper, and navigate any interaction with confidence, stay with me. This isn't surface-level body language tips. This is the deep psychology of how humans actually reveal and hide themselves. Chapter 1. The Baseline Principle: Why You Can't Read People Until You Know They're Normal. Welcome to Chapter 1 of How to Read People Like a Book, Human Psychology. If you're here, you've probably already noticed it. People say one thing, but their body, tone, eyes, or energy tell a completely different story. You've had conversations where the words were polite, but the vibe felt off. You've sensed tension, attraction, deception, or discomfort without knowing exactly why. That's your intuition trying to speak, but intuition alone is unreliable. It gives you the feeling, not the facts. The single most important principle in reading people, the one almost everyone skips, is establishing a baseline. Without knowing how someone normally behaves when relaxed and truthful, you have no reference point to spot deviations. A smile, crossed arms, fidgeting, or eye contact mean nothing in isolation. They only become meaningful when compared to that person's personal normal. This chapter is about mastering the baseline, what it is, why it's non-negotiable, how to establish it quickly in real life, what behaviors to observe first, and the exact mental checklist you'll use every time you meet someone new. This is not theory. It's the practical foundation that turns vague gut feelings into accurate, repeatable reads. Why baseline is the foundation. Imagine trying to read a book in a language you don't know. Every word looks random. That's what reading people without a baseline is like. The same gesture can mean completely different things depending on the person. Crossed arms. Defensive for one person, comfortable for another, avoiding eye contact, deception for some, shyness or cultural norm for others, rapid blinking, stress for one, normal blinking rate for another. Without baseline, you're guessing. With baseline, you're detecting changes, and changes are where truth hides. Behavioral psychologists, from Paul Ekman's microexpression work to Joe Navarro's FBI body language analysis, all emphasize this. Deviations from baseline are the signals. The baseline itself is neutral. How to establish a baseline fast, even in 60 seconds. You don't need hours or deep conversation. You can get a usable baseline in the first 1 to 2 minutes of interaction. Here's the exact protocol unstoppable readers use. Observe in neutral/low stakes moments. Start when the person is relaxed and not under pressure. Greeting, small talk, waiting for coffee, casual chat. This is their resting state, closest to truth. Watch clusters, not single cues. Never judge one signal alone. Look for 3 to 5 behaviors happening together. Cluster. A single crossed arm means nothing. Crossed arms plus pursed lips plus foot tapping plus reduced eye contact equals discomfort. Cluster. Key baseline elements to note quickly: posture and stance. Open/closed, leaning in/out. Weight distribution. Balanced versus shifting. Facial expressions, resting face, neutral smile, flat, furrowed brow. Blink rate, mouth tension, eye behavior. Direct contact, darting, pupil dilation. Hard to see but powerful when noticed. eyebrow flashes, quick raise equals recognition/interest. Gestures and hands, open palms versus fists/. Hidden hands, self-touch, neck, face, hair equals comfort-seeking, fidgeting level, voice and speech, normal pace, volume, pitch, filler words, like breathing rhythm, proxemics, how close they stand/sit, personal space bubble size. Create a mental baseline snapshot in your head or a discrete note after normal for this person. Open posture, steady eye contact, moderate gestures, calm voice, relaxed face. Any deviation from this snapshot becomes a signal. Common baseline variations to watch for. High energy baseline, fast talker, animated gestures, big smiles. Sudden slowing or stillness equals stress/withdrawal. Low energy baseline, quiet, minimal gestures, flat effect. Sudden animation or eye widening equals excitement/interest. Cultural baselines, eye contact norms vary. Direct equals respect in West. Avoidance equals respect in some Asian cultures. Always calibrate to the individual, not stereotypes. Context baseline, same person at work versus party versus date will have different baselines. Always establish in the current context. Real-world baseline in action. Example 1. Job interview. Candidate's baseline equals steady eye contact, open posture, calm voice. Midway through salary talk, they suddenly break eye contact, cross arms, voice pitch rises slightly. Signal, discomfort with the topic, money anxiety, or hiding something. Follow-up question reveals they're currently underpaid and embarrassed. Valuable intel. Example 2. Date. Person's baseline equals leaning in, smiling, animated hands. When you mention exes, they lean back, smile fades, hands drop to lap. Signal, discomfort with past relationships. You now know to tread lightly or probe gently. Your Chapter 1 Baseline Mastery Assignment. Start observing today. Baseline practice drill. Daily for 7 days, pick one person you interact with regularly, coworker, family, barista, friend. Spend 60 seconds consciously noting their baseline, posture, face, voice, gestures. Later in the day, notice one deviation, write down what changed and what it might mean. First real read. Next new person you meet, store clerk, colleague, date. Take 60 seconds to establish baseline silently. Then watch for any change during conversation. Log 3 reads this week. For each baseline snapshot, deviation observed, what you think it meant, and whether you confirmed it. Ask a question or watch further. Commit. From today, I never talk to someone without first establishing their baseline, even for 30 seconds. Baseline is not optional. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. Without it, you're interpreting noise. With it, you're reading the truth. Chapter 2. The Baseline Principle in Action. How to spot deviations and read true emotions in real time. Welcome to Chapter 2 of How to Read People Like a Book, Human Psychology. In Chapter 1, we established the single most important rule. You cannot read anyone accurately without first knowing their baseline, their normal, relaxed, truthful state. Without that reference point, every gesture, expression, or tone is just noise. Now we turn theory into skill. This chapter is about actively applying the baseline principle in real life, how to establish it quickly, even in seconds, what specific clusters to watch first, how to detect meaningful deviations, and the exact mental checklist you'll use every time you interact with someone. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a repeatable system you can force into every conversation, whether it's a job interview, date, negotiation, sales call, family talk, or casual chat. This isn't guesswork. It's pattern recognition built on observable behavior. Let's make it practical and immediate. Step 1. Establish baseline in the first 30 to 90 seconds. You don't need deep conversation. Most baselines reveal themselves in neutral, low-stakes moments, greetings, small talk, waiting, walking together. Force yourself to observe deliberately during these windows. Exact checklist. Run this silently in your head. Posture and overall energy. Open or closed. Relaxed shoulders or tense. Leaning in or pulling back. Weight balanced or shifting. Facial resting state. Neutral expression. Slight smile. Furrowed brow. Mouth relaxed or tight. Blink rate, average 15, 20/min. Eye behavior, steady contact or darting. Pupil size, dilated equals interest/arousal. Eyebrow flash, quick raise equals recognition. Hands and gestures, open palms or hidden/fists. Self-touch frequency, face, neck, hair equals comfort seeking. Fidget level, high/low/none. Voice and speech, normal pace, volume, pitch. Filler words, like breathing rhythm, calm/deep versus shallow/fast. Proxemics, how close do they stand/sit. Comfortable distance or encroaching/withdrawing. Mental snapshot phrase, say in your head. Baseline for this person, open/closed posture. Steady/darting eyes, moderate/high/low gestures. Calm/animated voice, average personal space. Step 2. Watch for clusters. Never judge a single cue. Single signals are meaningless. Truth shows in clusters, 3+ behaviors changing together. Force yourself to wait for at least 3 aligned cues before interpreting. Common, honest, baseline clusters. Relaxed, open posture, steady eye contact, moderate gestures, calm voice, palms visible. Interested/engaged, leaning in, pupil dilation, eyebrow flash, increased gesture animation, faster speech, comfortable/truthful, consistent blink rate, relaxed mouth, balanced weight, no excessive self-touch. Common deviation clusters, signals something changed. Discomfort/stress, crossed arms plus pursed lips plus foot tapping plus reduced eye contact plus voice pitch rise. Deception, possible increased blink rate plus mouth covering plus self-touch. Neck/face, plus posture shift away plus incongruent smile. Mouth smiles, eyes don't. Attraction/interest, prolonged eye contact plus pupil dilation plus preening. Hair touch, clothing adjust, plus mirroring your gestures plus leaning in. Dominance/power play, expanded posture, arms out, legs wide, plus direct stare plus slow blink plus lower voice. Pitch plus slow nodding, submission/appeasement, contracted posture, shoulders in, plus averted gaze plus higher pitch plus excessive nodding plus palms up. Step 3. Confirm deviations, ask calibrated questions. Never assume. When you spot a cluster deviation, test it with a low-pressure question to confirm. Examples. Discomfort cluster during money talk. How do you feel about that number? Watch for repeat cluster. Deception cluster during story. Tell me more about that part. See if cluster intensifies or relaxes. Attraction cluster. What's been the best part of your week? See if cluster grows. Dominance cluster. What's your take on this? See if they double down or soften. Calibrated questions are open-ended, non-confrontational, and give the person room to reveal more. Step 4. Build a mental library of personal baselines. The more people you baseline, the faster you spot deviations in new people, pattern recognition improves. Force a daily practice. Daily baseline drill for 30 days. Pick 3 to 5 people you interact with, coworker, cashier, friend, family. Spend 30 to 60 seconds noting their baseline silently. Later, notice one deviation right. Baseline snapshot, deviation cluster, what it likely meant, and whether you confirmed it. Goal. 100+ baselines in 30 days, your brain starts auto-detecting changes faster. Real-world application examples. Sales/negotiation client baseline. Open posture, steady eye contact, calm voice. During price discussion, crossed arms, averted gaze, voice pitch rise. Cluster equals discomfort. You say, it looks like the number is higher than you expected. What range were you thinking? They open up, you adjust and close. Dating/attraction date baseline. Moderate gestures, smiling, leaning slightly in. When you share a personal story, prolonged eye contact, pupil dilation, preening, hair touch, mirroring your posture. Cluster equals high interest. You know to lean in more and share deeper. Job interview interviewer baseline. Relaxed, nodding, open notes. When you mention a past job, sudden stillness, reduced nodding, slight lip compression. Cluster equals possible concern. You probe. That role taught me a lot about skill. Is there something specific you're wondering about?
Clears the air.
Your Chapter 2 Baseline Mastery Assignment. Start reading in real time. Daily baseline practice. Next 14 days, observe 3 people daily, new or familiar. Write quick baseline snapshot. Posture, eyes, voice, gestures. Note 1 deviation later. Log cluster and interpretation. First live read. Next conversation, any context. Establish baseline in first 60 seconds, then watch for clusters. Test 1 deviation with a calibrated question. Log 5 full reads this week. For each baseline, deviation cluster, question asked, if any. Confirmation/outcome. Commit. From today, I never interact without first silently establishing baseline, even for 30 seconds. Baseline is your ground truth. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're seeing. Every deviation is a window into the real person. Chapter 3. The 7 Universal Nonverbal Clusters. Reading core emotions even when words lie. You now have the baseline principle locked in. Establish a person's normal relaxed state quickly, then watch for meaningful deviations. That's the foundation. Without it, every signal is guesswork. With it, you're ready to interpret what those deviations actually mean. This chapter gives you the 7 universal nonverbal clusters, the most reliable combinations of body language, facial microexpressions, voice changes, and behavioral shifts that reveal a person's true emotional state, even when their words try to hide it. These clusters come from decades of research: Paul Ekman's facial action coding system, Joe Navarro's FBI nonverbal analysis, and modern behavioral psychology studies. They are cross-cultural and appear consistently in high-stakes situations: negotiations, interviews, dates, interrogations, family arguments, sales pitches, and everyday interactions. The key rule: never trust a single cue. Look for 3+ behaviors changing together, a cluster. A single crossed arm or smile means almost nothing. A cluster of 3 to 5 aligned signals is extremely hard to fake. Here are the 7 clusters you'll force yourself to watch for in every interaction from now on. For each, I'll give the typical signals, what it usually means, real-world examples, and how to confirm/test it without confrontation. Cluster 1. Genuine interest/attraction/engagement. Signals 3+ together. Prolonged eye contact, longer than baseline, pupil dilation, visible in good light, eyebrow flash, quick raise on seeing you, leaning in or toward you, mirroring your gestures/posture, increased gesture animation, genuine Duchenne smile, eyes crinkle, cheeks lift, preening, hair touch, clothing adjust, posture straighten. What it means: the person is emotionally invested, interested, attracted, or excited by you/the topic. Real example: on a date, baseline equals moderate eye contact, relaxed posture. When you share a personal story, they lean in, pupils dilate, eyebrows flash, smile reaches eyes, and they unconsciously mirror your hand gesture. Cluster confirms high interest. Confirmation: ask an open question about their feelings. What do you think about that? If cluster intensifies, interest is real. Cluster 2. Discomfort/stress/anxiety. Signals 3+ together. Crossed arms or legs, barrier, pursed lips or lip compression, foot tapping or leg bouncing, increased blink rate or rapid eye movement, self-touch, neck, face, hair, clothing, voice pitch rise or faster speech, shallow breathing or visible chest rise/fall, posture shift away or shrinking. What it means: the topic, person, or situation is creating stress/anxiety/discomfort. Real example: in a salary negotiation, employee baseline equals open posture, calm voice. When boss says budget is tight, employee crosses arms, purses lips, starts foot tapping, blink rate doubles, voice pitch rises. Cluster equals discomfort with the money discussion. Confirmation: shift topic to neutral, how was your weekend? If cluster relaxes, topic was the trigger. Cluster 3. Deception/concealment, possible, not certain. Signals 3+ together. Increase self-touch, mouth covering, nose touch, neck rub, sudden posture shift away or barrier creation, incongruent smile, mouth smiles, eyes don't, increased blink rate or rapid eye darting, voice changes, hesitation, pitch rise, fillers increase, Asymmetrical gestures. One hand moves more, throat clearing or swallowing more, reduced eye contact or staring too hard, overcompensation. What it means: high likelihood of withholding, lying, or discomfort with the truth, not proof of lying. Always confirm. Real example. In an interview, candidate baseline equals steady eye contact, open gestures. When asked about a gap in resume, sudden mouth cover, throat clear, voice hesitation, eyes dart, posture closes. Cluster equals possible concealment. Confirmation. Ask a follow-up open question. Tell me more about that period. If cluster intensifies, probe gently. Cluster 4. Dominance/power play. Signals 3+ together. Expanded posture. Arms out, legs wide, chest out. Direct, prolonged stare or slow blink, lower voice pitch or slower speech, slow nodding or head tilt, steepling fingers or palms down gestures, invading personal space, slow, deliberate movements. What it means: attempt to assert control, dominance, or superiority. Real example. In a meeting, boss baseline equals relaxed. When challenged, suddenly expands posture, lowers voice, stares, steeples fingers. Cluster equals power move to reassert control. Confirmation. Maintain calm. Don't escalate. Observe if they soften when unchallenged. Cluster 5. Submission/appeasement. Signals 3+ together. Contracted posture, shoulders in, head down. Averted gaze or looking up at speaker, higher voice pitch or softer volume, excessive nodding, palms up or open hand gestures, small, quick movements, lip licking or swallowing. What it means: attempt to appease, avoid conflict, or show deference. Real example. Employee baseline equals confident. When criticized, suddenly contracts posture, looks down, nods excessively, voice softens. Cluster equals submission/trying to placate. Confirmation. Soften tone. If cluster relaxes, they were seeking reassurance. Cluster 6. Disgust/contempt. Signals 3+ together. One-sided mouth raise, contempt smirk, nose wrinkle or upper lip curl, head tilt back or away, brief eye roll or squint, voice tone with sneer. What it means: strong disapproval, superiority feeling, or moral disgust. Real example. In a negotiation, counterpart baseline equals neutral. When you mention competitor's offer, one-sided smirk, nose wrinkle, head back. Cluster equals contempt for your position. Confirmation. Ask, what are your thoughts on that? Watch for repeat cluster. Cluster 7. Surprise/shock. Signals 3+ together. Eyebrow raise, both. Eyes widen/pupil dilation, mouth opens slightly or jaw drop, head jerks back, slightly sharp intake of breath. What it means: genuine, unexpected information or event. Real example. Friend baseline equals calm. When you share big news, eyebrows shoot up, eyes widen, mouth opens, sharp breath. Cluster equals real surprise, not faked. Confirmation. Watch for duration. Genuine surprise lasts 1 to 2 seconds max. Longer equals faked. Your Chapter 3 Cluster Mastery Assignment. Start spotting in real time. Daily cluster drill. Next 14 days, pick 3 interactions daily. Establish baseline in first 30 seconds. Watch for any cluster deviation. 3+ signals together. Log. Baseline snapshot. Cluster observed. Emotion interpreted. Confirmation question/outcome. First live cluster read. Next conversation. Establish baseline. Then actively look for 1 full cluster. Test with a calibrated question. Log 7 full cluster reads this week. For each baseline, cluster, interpretation, confirmation, commit. From today, I never interact without watching for baseline deviations and full clusters, even for 30 seconds. Clusters are the language of truth. Words can lie. Bodies rarely do when you know what to look for. You are no longer guessing at emotions. You are seeing clusters, and clusters reveal reality. Chapter 4. Microexpressions and Fleeting Tells, the January 25th second flashes that leak true feelings. You now have the baseline principle locked in and the 7 universal clusters as your primary reading framework. The big, observable patterns that reveal emotions through combinations of body language, posture, gestures, voice shifts, and proxemics. That's the macro level. Now we zoom into the micro level. Micro-expressions and other fleeting tells, the involuntary, split-second leaks that happen faster than conscious control can suppress them. These are the gold standard of truth detection. Even the best liars can fake words, smiles, posture, and gestures for seconds or minutes. But micro-expressions, brief, 1/25th to 1/2 second, flashes of genuine emotion on the face, are nearly impossible to fake or suppress completely. They occur when an emotion is triggered strongly enough that it breaks through the mask before the person can cover it. Paul Ekman's groundbreaking research, used by FBI, CIA, Secret Service, identified 7 universal micro-expressions that appear across cultures: anger, fear, disgust, contempt, surprise, sadness, and happiness. This chapter teaches you how to spot, interpret, and ethically use these microtells in real time. We'll cover the 7 universal micro-expressions, with visual descriptions since you can't see faces here, the most common fleeting body/voice tells that accompany them, how to train your eye to catch them, they're fast, and the exact protocols for confirming and responding without confrontation. Why micro-expressions matter, and why they're hard to catch. They last January 25th to 1/2 second. Most people blink and miss them. They are universal, same facial muscle movements in every culture for the same core emotions. They happen involuntarily when emotion is strong and the person tries to conceal or misrepresent it. They leak when there's emotional conflict. Words say one thing, true feeling says another. Training tip: you'll miss 90% at first. Force yourself to slow down interactions mentally. Watch faces like slow motion replay. With practice and video training if possible, you'll start catching them live. The 7 universal micro-expressions. What to look for: anger, eyebrows lowered and drawn together, furrowed, upper eyelids raised, lower eyelids tensed, glaring stare, lips pressed tight or squared, lips thinned or pushed forward, nostrils flared slightly, often accompanied by clenched jaw, forward head thrust, fist clench, fear, eyebrows raised and drawn together, high, curved, upper eyelids raised maximally, wide eyes, mouth stretched horizontally, lips pulled tight to sides, often with jaw drop or open mouth, rapid blinking, shallow, fast breathing, disgust, nose wrinkled, bridge of nose raised, upper lip raised, sneer-like, lower lip slightly pushed up or out, often with head or torso recoil, throat clear/swallow, contempt, one-sided, asymmetrical, one corner of mouth raised, unilateral smirk, slight, eye narrowing on same side, head tilt slightly away or back, often with slow blink or sideways glance, surprise, very brief, 1/25th second, typical, eyebrows arched high, curved up, eyes widened, whites visible above/below iris, jaw drops slightly, open mouth, often followed quickly by another emotion, fear, happiness, sadness/grief, inner corners of eyebrows raised, triangular shape above eyes, upper eyelids droop slightly, corners of mouth pulled down, often with lower lip tremble, gaze down, slow blink, happiness, genuine versus fake, genuine, Duchenne, cheeks raised, crow's feet, wrinkles around eyes, mouth corners up and out, fake, only mouth moves, polite smile, no eye involvement. Common accompanying fleeting tells, body/voice. Neck/throat touch, discomfort, insecurity, deception, attempt, pacifying behavior, hand to face/mouth cover, blocking true expression, often deception or shame, sudden swallow/Adam's apple bob, anxiety spike, foot direction, feet point toward exit equals desire to leave, voice cracks/pitch rise, stress, lying, or emotion breakthrough, freeze or sudden stillness. High threat/stress detection, pacifying behaviors, stroking neck, rubbing hands, hugging self equals self-soothing under stress. Training your eye, how to start catching micros live. Slow motion video practice, daily 10 to 15 minutes for 30 days. Watch interviews, negotiations, dates, or interrogations on YouTube. Slow to 0.25 times or 0.5 times speed. Pause every time you spot a flash, guess emotion. Check at normal speed. Focus on one emotion per session, e.g., only look for contempt. Live observation drill, every interaction. Establish baseline in first 30 seconds. Watch face exclusively for 1 to 2 seconds at emotional peaks. When topic changes, questions asked, stress points, mentally freeze. Frame any flash. Name the emotion. Confirm with cluster or question. Confirmation protocol. Never assume. Spot microexpression. Look for supporting cluster. Body/voice. Ask calibrated question. How do you feel about that? Or tell me more. Watch for repeat micro or cluster intensification. Validates read. Real-world application examples. Negotiation baseline. Calm face, steady voice. When you mention price, quick contempt micro, one-sided smirk, plus crossed arms plus foot point away. Cluster equals disdain for your offer. You adjust. It looks like that number doesn't feel right. What range works for you? Date baseline. Genuine smiles, open posture. When you mention future plans, quick sadness micro. Inner brow raise, mouth corners down, plus gaze drop. Cluster equals sadness about something in future talk. You probe gently. You seemed thoughtful there. Anything on your mind? Interview/interrogation baseline, steady eye contact. When asked about past job, quick fear micro, eyes widen, brows up, plus throat swallow plus voice hesitation. Cluster equals fear of topic. You soften. No pressure, just curious what that role was like. Your Chapter 4 Micro-Expression Mastery Assignment. Start catching flashes. Daily video training, 10 to 15 minutes for 14 days. Watch real interviews/talks at 0.25, 0.5 times speed. Pause on every face flash. Name emotion. Check at normal speed. Focus on one emotion per day, e.g., Monday equals contempt only. Live spotting drill. In next 5 conversations, actively watch for one micro-expression flash during emotional moments. Log what you saw. Cluster support, interpretation, confirmation practice. When you spot a micro, ask one calibrated question to test. How do you feel about that? Note if cluster repeats or fades. Log 7 live reads this week. For each baseline reminder, micro spotted, cluster, question asked, confirmation/outcome, commit. From today, I force myself to watch faces for micro flashes in every interaction, even for 1 second. Micro-expressions are the cracks in the mask. Words can be rehearsed. Faces leak truth in January 25th th of a second. Train your eye, and you'll start seeing what others never notice. Chapter 5. Voice, Tone, and Verbal Leakage. How words betray what the body tries to hide. You've now mastered the baseline principle, learned to spot deviations, and trained your eye on the 7 universal nonverbal clusters that reveal core emotions in combinations of posture, gestures, face, and space. That's the visible layer, what most people can learn with practice. But there's an even deeper, often overlooked channel, the voice itself. Words can be rehearsed, tones can be faked for seconds, but the unconscious leaks in vocal pitch, pace, volume, rhythm, pauses, fillers, and breathing patterns almost always betray the truth when someone is lying, hiding emotion, or feeling something strongly. This chapter focuses on auditory tells, the verbal and paraverbal signals that complement, and often contradict, body language. We'll cover the key voice/tone clusters that indicate deception, discomfort, confidence, attraction, dominance, submission, stress, and genuine emotion. These are subtle, but once you train your ear, they become impossible to miss, especially in phone calls, interviews, negotiations, dates, interrogations, or any situation where you can't see the full body. Why voice and verbal cues are so powerful and hard to fake. Voice is controlled by the autonomic nervous system more than conscious will. Pitch rises with stress, breathing shallows with anxiety, pauses lengthen with deception. Words can be scripted. Tone, rhythm, and microtremors cannot. Verbal leakage, inconsistent language, over-explanation, distancing words, happens when cognitive load is high. Lying requires more brain power than truth-telling. Studies, Ekman, Fry, DePaulo, show voice changes are among the most reliable deception indicators, often more accurate than body language alone. Key voice and tone clusters to listen for. Stress/anxiety/fear cluster, sudden pitch rise, especially at sentence end, faster speech rate or rush delivery, shallow, quick breathing, Audible chest breathing, increased, fillers, throat clearing, swallowing sounds. Dry mouth, clicks, tremor, or vocal fry. Creaky, low tone. What it means? Fight or flight activation. Topic/person is threatening. Confirmation. Ask a neutral follow-up. If cluster intensifies, topic is hot. Deception/concealment, cluster, increased pauses/hesitation before answering, over explanation or unnecessary detail. I was at the store because I needed milk and then I saw my friend. Distancing language. That person instead of he, she. A situation occurred instead of I did. Word/non-word fillers spike. So. Pitch rise at end of statements. Sounds like question when it's not. Inconsistent story rhythm. Speeds up on lies, slows on truth. What it means? High cognitive load, constructing rather than recalling. Confirmation. Ask open-ended, tell me more about. Liars often repeat same details or contradict. Confidence/dominance/truth-telling, cluster steady, lower pitch. Chest resonance, consistent pace and volume, no rushing or trailing off, clear enunciation, few fillers, downward inflection at sentence end, sound certain. Relaxed breathing, deep, even. What it means? Low cognitive load, high certainty. Comfort with topic. Confirmation, topic change. If voice stays steady, likely truthful. Attraction/rapport/genuine interest, cluster, slight pitch rise, warm, engaging tone, slower, more melodic speech, mirroring emotional state, increased laughter/vocal warmth, mirroring speech patterns, pace, volume, pauses, soft or affirmative sounds. What it means? Emotional investment, liking, connection. Confirmation, share something personal. If cluster grows, interest is real. Disgust/contempt, cluster, vocal, sneering tone or nasal quality, short. Clipped responses, sigh or huff, sound, sarcastic emphasis. Oh, really? What it means? Superiority, disdain, moral rejection. Confirmation. Ask, what do you think about that? Contempt tone often repeats. Sadness/defeat, cluster, lower volume, slower pace, downward inflection, trailing sentences, vocal fry or cracking voice, longer pauses, sighs. What it means? Grief, disappointment, resignation. Confirmation. Soft follow-up. If sadness intensifies, emotion is real. Surprise/shock, cluster, sharp intake of breath. Sudden pitch, jump, brief, vocal freeze, then rush of words. Wow. Really? With high pitch, what it means? Genuine, unexpected information. Confirmation. Watch duration. Real surprise is brief. Prolonged equals faked. Training your ear. How to start hearing the tells live. Audio-only practice. Daily 10 to 15 minutes for 30 days. Listen to podcasts, interviews, negotiations, phone calls. Slow to 0.75 times speed if possible. Pause on emotional peaks. Guess emotion from voice alone. Check at normal speed. Focus on one cluster per session, e.g., only deception fillers. Live listening drill, every conversation. Establish baseline voice in first 30 to 60 seconds, pace, pitch, volume, fillers. Watch for changes at emotional triggers, questions, topics, stress points. Mentally note. Baseline equals calm, steady. Now equals pitch rise plus fillers spike, stress. Confirmation protocol, spot voice cluster. Look for body cluster support if visible. Ask calibrated question. How do you feel about that? Or tell me more. Listen for repeat cluster or intensification. Validates read. Real-world application examples. Phone negotiation baseline. Steady pace, normal pitch. When you mention price, sudden pitch rise. Fillers increase. Throat clear. Cluster equals stress/anxiety. You say, sounds like the number is higher than expected. What range works? They relax, you adjust. Interview/interrogation baseline. Calm voice, few fillers. When asked about past mistake, long pause, pitch rise, spike, swallowing. Cluster equals possible concealment. You soften, no pressure, just curious what happened. Listen for cluster fade or intensification. Date/rapport baseline. Moderate pace, flat tone. When you share value, voice warms, pitch rises slightly, more melodic, affirmations. Cluster equals attraction/interest. You lean in more. Your Chapter 5 Voice and Verbal Mastery Assignment. Start listening in real time. Daily audio training. 10 to 15 minutes for 14 days. Listen to real conversations/interviews at normal or slightly slowed speed. Pause on tone shifts. Name cluster/emotion. Check against context. Live voice drill. In next 5 conversations, any context. Establish baseline voice in first minute. Then actively listen for deviations at emotional moments. Log. Baseline snapshot. Voice cluster. Interpretation. Confirmation practice. When you spot a voice cluster, ask one calibrated question to test. How do you feel about that? Note if cluster repeats or fades. Log 7 live voice reads this week. For each baseline voice, deviation cluster, question asked, confirmation/outcome, commit. From today, I force myself to listen for baseline voice changes in every interaction, even on the phone. Voice leaks truth faster than most people can control. Words can be rehearsed. Tone, pace, fillers, and breathing almost never lie when emotion is strong. Chapter 6. Verbal Patterns and Linguistic Leakage. The words people choose and avoid when lying, hiding, or truly invested. You've now mastered the nonverbal layers: baseline establishment, cluster detection, microexpressions, and voice/tone leaks. These give you the silent, unconscious truth, what the body and voice reveal even when the person tries to control them. But people also leak truth through the words they choose, the words they avoid, and the subtle patterns in how they structure sentences. This is linguistic leakage, the verbal fingerprints of deception, discomfort, confidence, emotional investment, or hidden intent. Words can be rehearsed more easily than microexpressions or voice tremors, but when cognitive load is high, lying, hiding emotion, or feeling strong conflict, language becomes sloppy. Liars overexplain, distance themselves, use passive voice, repeat phrases, qualify statements, and avoid first-person ownership. Truth-tellers speak more directly, use concrete details naturally, and show consistency between words and nonverbal cues. This chapter teaches you the most reliable verbal patterns and leakage signals, how they cluster with nonverbal tells, and the exact listening protocols to catch them in real time. These are used by FBI profilers, interrogators, negotiators, therapists, and elite salespeople because language leaks what the speaker most wants to protect. Core principle: cognitive load creates leakage. Lying requires more mental effort than truth-telling. Constructing a false story instead of recalling a real one, monitoring your own words while watching the listener's reaction, keeping a lie consistent with previous statements, suppressing genuine emotion while displaying a fake one. This high cognitive load causes slower speech or longer pauses, more fillers, over-explanation or unnecessary detail, distancing language. That guy instead of he, passive voice. Mistakes were made instead of I made mistakes. Qualifiers, kind of, sort of, maybe, possibly. Repetition of the question before answering. The 8 most reliable verbal leakage patterns. Distancing language, avoiding first-person ownership. That situation happened instead of I did that, using we or they when I is accurate, referring to people/things indirectly. The person, that thing, what it means. Attempt to psychologically separate self from the action/topic. Example: the money just disappeared somehow, distancing from theft, over-explanation and unnecessary detail, adding irrelevant backstory, or excessive justification, repeating the same point in different words, what it means. High cognitive load, filling space to buy thinking time or make story sound convincing. Example: I was at the store because I needed milk and then I saw my friend who said hello, so I talked to him for a minute. Qualifiers and hedging, excessive use of maybe, probably, kind of, sort of, possibly, I think, I guess, what it means. Lack of confidence or attempt to leave escape route if challenged. Example: I think I was probably there around maybe 7 or something. Passive voice and evasion. Mistakes were made instead of I made mistakes. It happened instead of I did it, what it means. Avoiding responsibility or direct ownership. Example: the deal fell through, who caused it? Versus I messed up the negotiation. Filler words and pauses spike, sudden increase in, long pauses before answering, what it means. brain working overtime to construct/maintain lie or suppress emotion. Example, baseline equals smooth speech. On key question, well, I think so. Incongruent/rehearse language overly formal or scripted responses repeating exact phrases when asked follow-ups what it means. Rehearse lie, no natural variation in storytelling. Example, asked twice, gives identical wording both times. Emotional word avoidance avoiding direct emotional language. I felt angry. Using neutral, it was frustrating. What it means, suppressing genuine feeling or hiding intensity. Example, it was unfortunate instead of I was furious. Sudden topic shift or deflection answering a different question than asked changing subject abruptly what it means, avoiding the real topic, threatening. Example, asked about money. Speaking of money, have you seen the new car prices? How these clusters combine with nonverbal cues. Strongest reads happen when verbal leakage clusters align with nonverbal clusters. Distancing language plus self-touch plus averted gaze equals high likelihood of concealment. Over-explanation plus increased fillers plus foot tapping equals cognitive load plus stress. Passive voice plus pursed lips plus posture shift away equals responsibility avoidance plus discomfort. Training your ear for verbal leakage. Daily audio practice, 10 to 15 minutes for 30 days. Listen to interviews, negotiations, depositions, podcasts, slow to 0.75 times if needed. Pause on answers to key questions, guess leakage type, check against context. Focus on one pattern per session, e.g., only distancing language. Live listening drill, every conversation. Establish baseline speech in first minute. Pace, fillers, directness. Watch for spikes in fillers, pauses, qualifiers, or evasion on emotional topics. Mentally note, baseline equals low. Fillers. Now equals high ums plus long pause stress. Confirmation protocol spot verbal cluster. Look for nonverbal support. Ask calibrated open question. Tell me more about that. Or, how did that make you feel? Listen for repeat leakage or intensification. Validates read. Real-world application examples. Sales call baseline. Smooth, direct speech. When you mention competitor's price, sudden pause, qualifiers, it's kind of similar. Over-explanation. We've been in business 10 years and our product has this feature and that. Cluster equals discomfort/deflection. You probe. What specifically concerns you about the price comparison? They open up. Date/relationship talk baseline. Animated, low fillers. When asked about X, distancing, that relationship ended. Passive voice, things happened. Fillers spike. Cluster equals avoiding emotional ownership. You soften. Sounds like that was tough. Anything you want to share? Watch for cluster fade or intensification. Interview/hiring baseline. Clear, direct. On gap in resume. Long pause. Spike. The situation was complicated. Cluster equals concealment/stress. You say, no judgment, just curious what happened during that time. Listen for more leakage. Chapter 7. Putting it all together. The complete real-time read system. Baseline plus clusters plus micros plus voice plus verbal. Welcome to Chapter 7 of How to Read People Like a Book, Human Psychology. You now have every major tool in your arsenal. The baseline principle, your reference point of normal behavior, the 7 universal nonverbal clusters, big picture combinations that reveal core emotions, microexpressions, the split-second facial leaks that betray true feelings, voice and tone clusters, pitch, pace, fillers, breathing shifts that expose stress and deception, verbal patterns and linguistic leakage, the words chosen and avoided when someone is lying, hiding, or emotionally invested. These are not separate skills. They are layers of the same system. The real power comes when you integrate them into one seamless, real-time read process that you can apply in any conversation, meeting, date, negotiation, interview, or casual interaction. This chapter is about fusion. How to combine everything into a repeatable 5-step protocol you can force yourself to run mentally in under 10 seconds while still being fully present. We'll cover the complete system, how to prioritize signals when they conflict, common pitfalls that trip up beginners, advanced calibration techniques, and ethical guidelines so you use this power responsibly instead of manipulatively. By the end, you'll have a mental checklist you can deploy automatically, turning you from someone who kind of reads people into someone who consistently sees the truth beneath the surface. The 5-step real-time read protocol. Run this sequence silently every time you interact with someone. Takes 5 to 15 seconds once practiced. Step 1. Instant baseline snapshot. First 30 to 60 seconds. Observe posture, face, eyes, gestures, voice, space in neutral moment, greeting, small talk. Mental note. Baseline equals open posture, steady eyes, moderate gestures, calm voice, average distance. If no neutral moment, use first low-stakes exchange. Step 2. Watch for any deviation trigger. Emotional topic change, question asked, stress point, money/relationship talk, personal disclosure. Scan face first, micros are fastest, then voice, pitch/fillers, then body clusters. Ask yourself, is anything different from baseline? If yes, move to step 3. Step 3. Identify the cluster, 3+ align signals. Look for combinations, not singles. Prioritize order of reliability, micro-expressions, hardest to fake, voice changes, pitch rise, filler spike, body clusters, posture shift plus self-touch plus barriers, verbal leakage, distancing, qualifiers, over-explanation, label the emotion, discomfort cluster, crossed arms plus pursed lips plus pitch rise plus fillers spike. Note intensity, mild, subtle, moderate, clear, strong, multiple strong signals. Step 4. Confirm and calibrate, never assume. Ask one low-pressure calibrated question. How do you feel about that? Tell me more about. What's your take on that? Watch/listen for. Cluster intensification equals read confirmed, cluster relaxation equals read was temporary/misread, new cluster appears equals deeper layer revealed, cross-check, verbal plus nonverbal. Words say calm, voice/body say stress is truth. Step 5. Decide response and log after interaction. Choose action based on read. Discomfort, soften tone. Change topic. Reassure, deception, probe gently. Don't confront directly, attraction/interest, lean in. Share more dominance, stay calm. Don't escalate submission, give reassurance, log mentally or in note. Baseline, cluster, confirmation question, outcome, goal. 5 to 10 logged reads per day, pattern recognition becomes automatic in weeks. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Over-relying on one cue, fix. Always wait for 3+ signals in cluster. Projecting your own baseline, fix. Remind yourself, this is their normal, not mine. Confirmation bias, fix. Actively look for evidence that disproves your first read. Cultural misreads, fix. Calibrate to individual, not stereotypes, e.g., eye contact norms vary. Reading fatigue, fix. Start with 5 reads/day, build to 20+. Rest eyes/ears between. Advanced calibration techniques. Topic testing. Introduce neutral versus sensitive topics and compare baseline shifts. Stress injection. Ask mildly challenging questions. What's the hardest part of that for you? To see emotional response clusters. Mirroring check. Subtly mirror their postures/gestures. Genuine rapport equals they mirror back unconsciously. Incongruent scan. Words say, I'm fine. Body/voice say stress is truth. Cluster timing. Micros appear first, 1:25 SEC, then voice changes, 1 to 2 seconds, then body. Clusters, 2 to 5 seconds. Fastest tells are most reliable. Real-world full system examples. High-stakes negotiation baseline, calm voice, open posture, steady eyes. When you mention deadline, quick fear micro, eyes widen, pitch rise, filler spike, posture shift away. Cluster equals anxiety about timeline. You say, sounds like the deadline is tight. What would make it workable? They relax. Cluster fades. You negotiate extension. Date/rapport red baseline. Moderate animation. Genuine smiles. When you mention future plans, quick sadness micro, brow raise. Voice softens, gaze drops, distancing language, that kind of thing. Cluster equals sadness/evasion about future. You probe gently. You seemed thoughtful there. Anything on your mind? They open up about past heartbreak, job interview/hiring baseline, confident voice, open gestures. On question about conflict with boss, long pause, throat clear, spike, passive voice. Things were challenging, foot tapping. Cluster equals discomfort/concealment. You soften, no judgment, just curious what that dynamic was like. They admit difficulty, honesty signal. Chapter 8, The Complete Reading Mastery, integrating all layers into an unbreakable real-time skill. You've now acquired every major tool in the art of reading people like a book. The baseline principle as your unbreakable foundation, the 7 universal nonverbal clusters for big-picture emotional reads, microexpressions for split-second truth leaks on the face, voice, tone, and paraverbal cues for auditory betrayal, verbal patterns, and linguistic leakage for what words reveal when someone is lying, hiding, or deeply invested. These are not separate skills. They are layers of the same system. The real mastery comes when you fuse them into one fluid, real-time process that runs automatically in every interaction. This final chapter is about integration, turning fragmented knowledge into a seamless, high-resolution read that you can deploy in seconds, whether in a negotiation, date, interview, confrontation, sales call, leadership moment, or casual conversation. We'll cover the complete 6-step real-time integration protocol, how to prioritize conflicting signals, common advanced pitfalls, ethical guardrails so this power stays clean, and the lifelong practice plan that turns good reading into elite-level intuition. This is where theory becomes instinct. The 6-step real-time integration protocol. Run this mentally in every meaningful interaction. Takes 20 seconds once practiced. Step 1. Instant baseline lock, 0 to 60 seconds. Observe neutral/low-stakes moment, greeting, small talk, waiting. Snapshot 5 to 7 elements, posture/energy, face rest, eyes, hands/gestures, voice baseline, space/proxemics, mental note. Baseline equals open posture, steady eyes, moderate gestures, calm voice, average distance. If no neutral window, use first non-emotional exchange. Step 2. Trigger detection. Spot the emotional hotspot. Watch/listen for topic shifts, questions, stress points, personal disclosures, money/relationship talk, criticism, compliments. Any sudden change in face, voice, body, or words equals trigger. Ask silently. Is anything deviating from baseline? If yes, proceed. Step 3. Cluster collection. Build the full picture, 3+ signals. Prioritize fastest/most reliable signals first. Microexpressions, 1/25 to 1/2 second. Face leaks, voice changes, pitch rise, filler spike, pauses. Immediate stress indicator, body clusters, posture shift plus barriers plus self-touch. Verbal leakage, distancing, qualifiers, over-explanation. Label the cluster. Discomfort. Fear, micro plus pitch rise plus crossed arms plus fillers, spike plus distancing language. Intensity scale, mild, subtle, moderate, clear, strong, multiple high signal cues. Step 4. Cross-check and calibration. Never assume. Check congruence. Do all layers agree? Words say, I'm fine. Face/voice/body say stress. Stress is truth. Ask one calibrated, low-pressure question to test. How do you feel about that? What's your take on this? Tell me more about. Anything on your mind there? Watch/listen for. Cluster intensification. Read confirmed relaxation. Read was temporary/misread. New cluster appears. Deeper layer revealed if layers conflict. E.g., words confident, body anxious. Trust fastest/non-conscious signals. Micros, voice, body, words. Step 5. Decide and respond. Act on the read ethically. Discomfort/stress, soften tone. Change topic, reassure, give space. Deception/concealment, probe gently, more open questions. Don't accuse, let them reveal more. Attraction/interest, lean in, share deeper, mirror subtly. Dominance, stay calm. Don't escalate, match energy without submitting. Submission, offer reassurance, empower them. Surprise, acknowledge. That seemed to catch you off guard. Builds trust. Contempt/disgust, note it. Don't engage emotionally. Observe if it repeats. Step 6. Post-interaction log and calibration after. Mental or quick note. Baseline, trigger, clusters spotted, confirmation question, final read, outcome, ask. Did layers align? What did I miss? How accurate was the read? Goal. 10 to 20 logged reads per day. Pattern recognition becomes subconscious in weeks. Common advanced pitfalls and fixes. Overreading/paranoia fix. Require 3+ strong signals in cluster before acting. Single cue equals neutral until confirmed. Cultural/individual misreads fix. Always calibrate to person's baseline first. Never apply universal stereotypes. Confirmation bias fix. Actively seek disconfirming evidence. What would prove my read wrong? Fatigue/overload fix. Start with 5 reads/day. Build to 20+. Rest eyes/ears between high-focus interactions. Ethical drift fix. Use only for understanding/protection/connection. Never manipulation or harm. Ethical guardrails. The unbreakable rules. Use for good. Protect yourself. Build deeper connections. Lead better. Understand truth. Never weaponize. No blackmail, manipulation, exploitation. Respect privacy. If someone is concealing pain, offer support. Don't pry for advantage. Own your limits. You will misread sometimes. Stay humble. Consent and context matter. Reading in professional settings, negotiations, interviews is fair game. In personal life, use with care and compassion. Lifelong mastery plan. Turning reading into instinct. Month 1. Baseline plus clusters plus micros. Video training plus 5 daily live reads. Month 2. Add voice/tone plus verbal leakage. Audio practice plus 10 daily reads. Month 3. Full 6-step protocol in every interaction. 15 to 20 reads/day. Ongoing. Weekly review. 5 best/worst reads of the week. What worked/missed. Monthly challenge. Read 100 strangers, cashiers, waiters, passers-by. Log clusters. Annual deep dive. Study new research. Ekman, Navarro, Fry updates, plus recalibrate. Final real-world mastery examples. High-stakes business negotiation baseline. Calm, steady voice, open posture. Your offer, quick contempt micro, smirk, pitch rise, distancing language, that kind of number. Crossed arms. Cluster equals disdain. You say, sounds like that doesn't feel right, what would? They relax. You adjust terms and close. Romantic/dating red baseline. Animated. Genuine smiles. When you mention commitment, quick sadness micro, brow raise. Voice softens, gaze drops, qualifiers. I mean, maybe someday. Cluster equals fear/sadness about future. You probe gently. You seemed thoughtful there. Anything you want to share? They open up. Trust builds. Leadership/team conflict employee baseline equals confident. When discussing mistake, long pause, filler spike, throat clear, passive voice, things happened, foot tapping. Cluster equals concealment/shame. You soften. No blame here, just want to understand what happened. They admit truth, problem solved.